Okay, everybody, this is the second lecture for Saturday, the 25th of July, and I'm starting the um, Origin of Money Theory handout with you. I've already made a more than an hour long video yesterday and then repeated it today, made it less time consuming, a 45-minute file, but I'm having great difficulty in uploading the Zoom MP4 files to the Blackboard, and I haven't got it straightened out. I thought I did, but no, something's wrong, and I've contacted BCTC. We'll see what they say. I have um, two friends who are trying to help me as well, so we may have to postpone the exam a little bit longer. You have to hear some of these lectures, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. It may not be me, maybe something else, but anyway, we're going to look at the second handout, the Origin of Money handout, and I have it here on the screen. And let's see, I'm going to do share screen, which should put that on in your screen in front of you. And you see there, we have, you haven't heard the lecture because of the difficulty. I have a lecture on the primitive indirect exchange becoming an alternative to direct exchange. And today I want to do the evolution of a set of more marketable goods into commonly used media of exchange. And again, I'm perfectly aware that you are at a disadvantage because you haven't had the explanation of the first step. But I've got to go on, I've got to make these lectures, and hopefully we'll get everything straightened out and you can hear everything. So the evolution of a set of more marketable goods into commonly used media of exchange. That's our second step. And it's the toughest step to present, but it's really not controversial. In our first step, we have primitive indirect exchange. Indirect exchange, you use a medium of exchange. And we assume we have no money. And we don't have money in the second step or the third step. We do get money in the fourth step. But hopefully we can go over that. Now, let me go back. Let's see. This second step is the hardest. What I want to do is tell you a story first. Must be 5, 6, 7 years ago now. I was in Dunkin' Donuts on a Sunday morning. That's my quiet hour, if you will. I try not to meet anybody or talk to anybody. And it was early in the morning, about 7 o'clock or so. And a little boy comes in. He has his PJs on, and he's literally this big, not very big at all. He's, I found out later that he's 2 years and 1 month old. But anyways, he comes into the Dunkin' Donuts and he goes up to an advertisement, one of the big cardboard ones. I think they used to have Derek Jeter selling iced coffee or something. But anyways, this guy, the little boy goes up to the advertisement, and the cardboard advertisement comes up to my chest on me, and he stretches to point to the name of the product, iced tea latte, and he doesn't pronounce the D in ICED. So he stretches up again and pronounces it, recognizing that he has made an error. But this is a little peanut of a guy, and his mom comes in about 10 seconds later, and I said, to her, I said, does your little boy know how to read? And she said, yes. I asked, how old is he? Uh, he's 2 years, 1 month. I asked, do you and your husband help him to learn how to read? And they said yes. She said yes. And then their turn came up at the counter to order something. So I let them go. And so what we're saying is there are individuals, precocious individuals, who can learn very, very early. And this little boy may or may not have known that if he wants that iced tea latte, or if he wants a donut, or if he wants a little bit of ice cream, this little boy maybe had learned already that he has to get his mom or dad or guardian to part with the little green pieces of paper. And the essence of this second step is that we have caveman society still. We have enclaves. We're going to assume 3 enclaves on the Isle of Manhattan, caveman society. And that when everybody knows the media of exchange you go through to exchange your wares in order to get what you want, then that's step 2. The media of exchange used in this caveman society, which has no money, there's no single good known as money. But the various enclaves on Manhattan Island, each of them have media of exchange, very, very marketable media, very marketable goods that they can exchange their wares through. And this is what happens. And then there's a process through which the people in each enclave find out about the other enclaves, assuming they're not treated in a hostile manner. The would-be traders, would-be merchants, if you will, find out about all the goods in the different enclaves and the media of exchange. And well, let me start the example, and then you'll see where I'm going to. So we have 3 enclaves. Let's assume the first enclave is where Baruch College is today. And the second one is where the Waldorf Astoria is. And then the third one would be where the Empire State Building is, okay? And we assume that they do not know about each other at the time. Enclave 1, which is at Baruch College, produces 60 goods. And they have 5 very marketable, commonly used media of exchange that each person goes through to exchange his wares for ultimately the consumer and producer goods that they want. So we're going to say the first 5, well, the 5 media of exchange are A, B, C, D, and E. Then we go to enclave number 2. Enclave number 2 doesn't know about enclave 1 and 3, and 50 goods are produced there. And then there are media of exchange, very marketable media of exchange in enclave number 2. We'll say F, G, H, I, and J. And so 5 media of exchange there. And then we have enclave number 3, where the Empire State Building is, and enclave number 3 just produces 40 goods, but has 6 commonly used media of exchange within the enclave and nowhere else, because they do not know about the people in enclave 3 do not know about the people in enclave 2 and 1. So the media of exchange there are K, L, M, N, O, P. So with the 3 enclaves, we have 16 media of exchange, but what has to happen is the traders, would-be merchants, if you will, adventurers at first have to find out about the other enclaves. And they do, and they're easily could have been treated in a hostile manner, but we assume they're not, and they learn about the goods produced in each enclave. They have a special knowledge that others don't have. They know about the media of exchange used in each of the three enclaves. And so there's a process in which they can make more probable the success of getting goods they want, and also reduce their time and effort in the marketplace. And what am I saying? We have highly marketable goods, 16 of them, and there's an incentive for the would-be merchants, really would-be entrepreneurs, to use the more marketable goods. They reduce their time and effort in the marketplace if they do so. So knowing about the 16 and the special knowledge, merchants, would-be merchants, try to use the more marketable media of exchange. So a process is initiated, and in each enclave you have one or two goods used as media of exchange still, but the lesser marketable goods that were used at one time when the enclave only knew about itself, they are being set aside. They're no longer used as media of exchange. So in enclave number one, we'll assume A, B, and C are set aside, but D and E are still used as media of exchange. And in enclave two, in this process in which you have leaders of the marketplace, the would-be merchants, you again have the would-be merchants they have the incentive to use the more marketable goods and set aside those that are less marketable, that have been up to the point in time used as media of exchange. So this time H, I, and J media are set aside, and only F and G are used as media of exchange. And so everybody, we get to the third enclave, and here the same thing happens. The merchants use the media of exchange that are known about in the enclave, and of course they notice the difference in marketability. It's key to notice that difference in marketability. And we have maybe, let's say, 4 here set aside because they're not as marketable as the others. The would-be merchants reduce their time and effort by going through K and P. So we're left with a grand set of highly marketable media of exchange that people transact their wares through in not only one enclave or two, but all three. It's, if you will, there's a Manhattan Island trade that builds up, and the merchants, the would-be merchants, are the leaders in this type of trade, and they transact using the media, very marketable media of exchange, D, E, F, G, K, and P. So what do we want to say here? We go back to our page 1, and we really reach the end of the second step, the evolution of a set of more marketable goods into commonly used media of exchange. And what do we want to say here? These commonly used media of exchange are known to everybody, not just the precocious child who's 2 years and 1 month, but think of yourselves, when did you start to read? Let's say around 4, 5, or 6. Let's assume 5, just for the sake of argument. So all those individuals who learn to read at 5 and older, young kids, and then adolescents, and then young adults and then older adults, they know about what we have 6 commonly used media of exchange over Manhattan Island. They are D, E, F, G, K, P, and this is brought about by the would-be traders who recognize that there is an incentive to use the more marketable media of exchange. We assume a difference in marketability between all the media of exchange, all 16, and we get the most marketable ones, D, E, F, G, K, P, at the end of step 2. Again, step 2 is knowledge of a good sizable part of the population knows about D, E, F, G, K, P. Now, who perhaps would not know? The very, very young, of course. The very, very old, and those who are, they may not use these media of exchange because of mental illness or because of physical constraints, disabilities, if you will. So all those people who participate in the division of labor, and then of course young kids and older people who aren't participating, they know about D, E, F, G, K, P. So therefore, the evolution of a set of more marketable goods into commonly used media of exchange occurs. D, E, F, G, K, P are the commonly used media of exchange. So we have the end of step 2 in the origin of money theory. And then the step 3 is the contraction of the number of media of exchange. And here you have to give me this assumption, if step 3 is to occur. There are differences amongst the commonly used media of exchange in marketability. The marketability is not the same for each one of them. And therefore, there's an incentive for the traders to make use of the more marketable ones out of the superset of 6. And this happens. And so step 3 occurs. There is a contraction of the number of media of exchange. And so let's just assume that D and F and K and G are less marketable than either E or P. Okay, so this is the third step. And again, it's on the basis of marketability. Marketability is the ease of buying or ease of selling. And Bob's your uncle there. So now we come to the emergence of sophisticated indirect exchange. And in a word, we have money. Now, what are we saying? We're left with E and P as commonly used media of exchange. And if there is a difference between them, then commerce, that is, those who participate in commerce, are going to choose the more marketable one and reduce transaction costs and increase probability of getting the goods they want for their own consumption or production. So, but we really jumped out of caveman society and are looking at maybe the 15th, 16th, or 17th centuries, the mercantile period. And, to have 2 media of exchange left, well, what were the media of exchange then? Gold and silver. And the commerce could not choose between the two in actuality. But the theory here, if we're true to the theory, we would assume a difference between E and P in terms of marketability. E may be more marketable than P or vice versa. And therefore, one would be eliminated as a medium of exchange, set aside, and the other would continue to be used as a medium of exchange. let's assume P is the less marketable. So E is the most marketable of all the goods on Manhattan Island, 150 or so, that what we have a caveman society, but really we've made a jump. We've gone through time, and we have we've come up to, let's say, the 15th century, and we have two goods that are more marketable than any good in existence, and that would be gold and silver. And then one of the two is, we assume, more marketable than the other. And that's a assumption that should not be made. And I'll talk about that in a moment. But the theory goes that one of them is more marketable. And so what we have is E is the most marketable of all. And so we have a concept of money. E is money. It is the most marketable good in the economy. And it's more easily bought, easily sold than any other, by far and away. And what do we want to say here? The fourth step of the theory is the emergence of sophisticated indirect exchange, the use of one media of exchange, the use of one that is the most marketable of all. And really, everybody, we have a concept of money, and you'll find that on the handout number 2, the origin of money theory. And the handout says, according to the origin of money theory, money is the most marketable good. Yes, but also it is the commonly used and generally accepted medium of exchange in an economy. So you have three aspects of what it means to be money. It's the most marketable good, and then it is the commonly used and the generally accepted medium of exchange in an economy. So this is money. Now, everybody, very briefly here, the origin of money theory is spot on with regard to actual history, except in this jump from step 3 to step 4. In actuality, the marketability of gold and silver for each one of them was the same as the other one. So gold was as marketable as silver, and silver was as marketable as gold. This was in earlier times, about 400 or 500 years ago. Today, I think gold is the more marketable. Silver has lost its marketability due to its really limited use now in photography. So you have, with the precious metals, 3 utilities. Number one, the gold or silver can be used as a medium of exchange, and one just as well as the other, to put it frankly, and they are equally marketable for all practical purposes. And number two, for jewelry purposes, one is as good as the other. I have an older sister, and she looks hideous in gold, but she looks stunning in platinum or silver. And I'm sure there are people who look stunning in gold and hideous in silver or platinum. So you have 2 outliers, if you will, and everybody else falls in between. They can wear gold or silver very handily and look good in wearing each of the 2 metals. So we get to the let's go 15th, 16th, 17th century in Europe. We'll use this area as an example. The marketability of the 2 is roughly equal, for all practical purposes equal. There's no incentive really to choose one over the other. So the origin of money theory's choice of one good as the most marketable good doesn't really occur in history. And what am I saying, everyone? The choice of gold or silver was made by governments well-intended. They wanted to secure the bimetallic standard, the simultaneous circulation of both metals. And of course, this was before economics, modern economics began. They didn't have the price theory that we have today. And so they thought if they secured, that is, fixed the ratio between gold and silver, that they would secure the two metals, the bimetallic system. And of course, we know this is what? Price fixing, if you will. And under a regime of price fixing, if you will, by Gresham's law, the overvalued money drives the undervalued money out of circulation. And the overvalued money is when the equilibrium price is when the fixed ratio is set above the equilibrium ratio, and undervalued if set below the equilibrium ratio. So we have Gresham's law, and this explains the jump to one of the two metals. Now, Gresham's law doesn't help us, though, fully with our understanding. So what we want to do is realize what's really going on. We have the mint that has been set up. The mint's primary job is to manufacture silver and gold coins. They are to act as market dealers. They will buy or sell gold at the same time to various individuals. And they have to do this. And so what happened frequently is that the mint overvalued one of the metals and undervalued the other. And this set up an arbitrage process. So what do I mean? Let's assume that we're looking at the supply and demand for gold, and the equilibrium price really is 15.5 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold. This is really the bullion market, the private market's price. But the mint says, well, really, we're going to set a 16-to-1 ratio. 1 ounce of gold is worth 16. So you have the private market ratio of 15.5, and you have the mint price, mint ratio, which overvalues gold in this case. And so what do? How do you, obviously if you have two different prices, there's an arbitrage opportunity. You can make some money at it. And here's what you do in using our simple example. You take a coin of gold, a troy ounce coin of gold. You sell it for 16 ounces of silver. Relative to the bullion market price of 15.5, the mint has given you a gift of 1/2 ounce of silver. So you set that aside as your profit. Then you go to the bullion market and buy the silver at 15.5 to 1. Not buy the silver, sorry, sell the silver and buy another gold coin. And then repeat the process. You go back to the mint and get 16 ounces for the gold coin, troy ounce, and you get another gift given to you of 1/2 ounce of silver. And what do? You continue this process. You go to the bullion market, sell the silver, get a new gold coin, and then sell the gold coin to the mint. Well, what's happening here, everybody, if you step back and reflect? The inventory of gold with the overvalued metal is increasing at the mint, and it's decreasing at the mint for silver, the inventory there. So when silver finally runs out at the mint, well, there's no more stock of silver, the mint is no longer in position to coin silver coins, to manufacture silver coins, and so we're left with the gold standard. And I submit to you that this actually happened in most areas of the world, especially Europe, at different times, mind you. But again, back then, the marketability of gold and silver were, for all practical purposes, the same. Today, I don't think you can say that. So that's how we got the gold standard in most areas of the world, and with the except Germany was on the silver standard. I think I will quit here and try to save this and then be back for another lecture. But again, I'm having trouble uploading these MP4 files to the Blackboard. I get an error term, and well, I'll try to work it out. But this is the end of lecture 11 on the second step and third step and fourth step of the origin of money theory. Thank you very much.